My name is Brian Warsing. I actually work in this building at this university. Down the hall over there, you can find me someday if you ever come around. And I'm here to co-present with my former colleague, Riley Shott. Well, my colleague still, my former co-worker, Riley Shott, because Riley used to work at SFU here, but he's since left us and moved on to bigger and better things. But we're here to talk about what the work we've been doing for like the last year or so, like setting things up. And it's largely about the project we call Manage Mac, but the real story of this is how we came to term with Puppet. And because we couldn't really come up with a good title for this talk, we had a few in here. This one is a little early for this slide, but the story is, though, really, this is actually a love story about automation. Automation. Because everybody loves automation, right? But, you know, sometimes love stories tend to unravel, okay? Automation, yeah. Everybody loves automation. We welcome automation now. It's part of our jobs. We need automation now. It's a requirement. You don't get to run around with a DVD installing things anymore. Everybody knows that. Automation is the price tag of our business, but the automation price tag isn't the same for everyone. The big question is, do you like configuration management tools? They're great in theory, right? But the tools all have a learning curve. And in 2011, we decided to start using Puppet as a response to this ever-expanding Mac infrastructure that we had. Okay? Macs are coming in the door left and right, and we needed some way to do this. And our everything in packages approach really wasn't cutting it. It was too fragmented, too difficult to control. And we wanted to push code. We didn't want to package it and have to, you know, worry about the parcel that was coming in. We just wanted to be able to deliver code directly to workstations. And we chose Puppet simply because it was already there. Our research group already had a well-founded Puppet infrastructure for us, and it made sense to use any existing resources we could for that. And first, when we started talking about Puppet, right, people liked the idea. They liked the idea because there was suddenly this sense that our Mac and our Linux machines could live together in harmony, right? We've got all our research machines over here, Linux workstations, Linux desktop servers, and all of a sudden the Mac can play in the same sandbox. Well, it's great in theory. We built it in the hope that everybody begin using it, but we soon realized we had a new problem. And that is you have to learn how to use it. And that's a big ask for some people, right? That's the price of admission of using any of these configuration management tools, is you have to learn how to use them. And after telling people you have to learn them, pretty soon nobody calls you anymore. They just go silent, just like radio silence, right? And then pretty soon nobody understands you when they do call you, and you settle into calling your desk. So the real title of this talk could be How to Alienate Your Peers Using Configuration Management. Right? But if you can't make people like configuration management, maybe there's a way you can make it more accessible. Maybe there's a way you can actually simplify the configuration management so that other people can use it, people that, you know, are picking it up as fast. So we decided we were going to simplify Puppet. And by far the most difficult thing in all of this configuration management stuff for us was getting people to actually learn the Puppet DSL. Okay? We talk about modules and classes and manifests and resources and where does it go and what does it do, you know? Then there's all the other things too. Git, Ruby, shell scripting, whatever you need to put inside Puppet to get it to work, right? This is the peripheral knowledge you need just to get out and get your foot in the door. And what's frustrating is most of the time, people already know what they want to accomplish, right? They just want to get to that place that they know they can get by just clicking a mouse or, you know, installing it for DVD. That should be simple, right? So why can't Puppet just simply deliver that experience, right? Why can't Puppet behave more like an application than a language? So the question is, can we make Puppet into a Pac-Man, right? A Pac-Man that chomps down configuration data and poops out little happy Macs. Well, we can. It can be done. But you simply need to use a built-in tool called Hyra. That's all it is. Hyra, for those of you who don't know what it is a key-value lookup tool, hierarchical key-value lookup tool. It's built into Puppet since version 3. And what it actually allows you to do is decouple your configuration code, your configuration data from your actual Puppet code. Okay? Puppet looks up parameters in Hyra. It basically gathers all your class parameters that you'd be normally coding into Puppet using the DSL, and then it compiles those in at configuration time. Okay? And it does that according to rules, and those rules are what is referred to as its namespace. How does that work? Well, Puppet code. Maybe you know it, maybe you don't, doesn't really matter. This is a very simple Puppet class. It's actually part of the Manage Mac module. And as you can see here, there is a name of this class. The name is Manage Mac NTP. The first portion of this name is its module. The last portion of this name is the class name. And together, whoops, that was too fast. Sorry about that, guys. Did you catch that? Namespace. Together, they basically make up the namespace for the entire class. Okay. The other salient feature of this is that there are two parameters of this class. Okay. The first parameter enables the service or disables the service, as you might have. And the second is simply a list or an array of time servers that you want your Mac to use when you're configuring NTP. Okay. But if you've written Puppet code before, you know that this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning of the Puppet code that you will need to write in order to use this Puppet code. Okay? Because if you want to enable the service, you can see that it's right now it's undef, and you want to use a different time server, right? You can say set to time.apple.com. You need to override these default values. And to do that, you must write more Puppet code. Okay? But why? Why do you need to use Puppet code just to fill in a bunch of values for a class? Okay? The code's already written. We shouldn't need to touch the Puppet DSL anymore. And this is where Hyra gets useful. Okay? This is an example of the Hyra YAML for that NTP class we just saw. And you're going to immediately notice that there's a symmetry between the class itself and the YAML on the screen. Okay? Namespace. There it is. Namespace parameters. There's the parameter to the class, right? And to enable it, you simply pass true, right? And then you can pass as many time servers as you wish to use. I don't know how many you actually need, but there's 3, okay? And basically, and all this is without authoring a single line of Puppet code, right? What you're in fact doing is just configuring data and pushing the data to the class, and the class configures it, okay? And more importantly, because Hyra uses an ordered hierarchy to look up these values, we can specify different values for single machines, groups of machines. You can override the values for a single machine in a group of machines using this technique. So we're going to leverage all this. What we want it to look like. We want to begin by abstracting available OS features, leveraging the built-in features of OS 10. We want to modernize Mac Puppet policy support to include deployment of OS 10 profiles. We want to make it data-driven using Hyra. And we want to basically require no Puppet code in order to run any of this. Okay? Basically treating Puppet like an application rather than a language. And what we wound up with was a single open source module, a rather large Puppet module. It's kind of a giant Puppet module, actually. And it acts kind of like an OS 10 world engine. You put it on the machine, and then you can actually hand it a single configuration, and it will just go out and terraform your machine for you. Right? We group OS 10 features into classes. The classes are sensibly named: File Vault, SSHD, screen sharing. Okay? And all it does is consume YAML. It's basically a YAML-consuming machine that configures state. Okay? And we're going to do a little demo. Okay? Live demo. It's a little bit scary for me. Okay. Hi. Hello. VMware. Lovely. Okay. Live demo. I just lost the login window. That is wonderful. You see that? Is anybody from Apple here? Sorry, I have to reboot my VM now. I should have paused it.
Can we fix in 10.11?
Yeah, of course. I think I've got a couple of those bug reports back already. Fixing 10.11. In fact, I got a bug report not too long ago that I filed for 10.9 on login window. I got a response from one of the engineers saying, I think it's fixed in El Capitan. Yeah. Fun. Yeah. Oh, open source Puppet. Yeah. Repeat the question. Sorry, what version of Puppet are we using? We're using the open source version of Puppet. We actually do have the enterprise version of Puppet, but that is sort of right now only in our IT infrastructure team. And we are the client services team. So we just do people's desktops. Stuff like that. Okay, there we go. Hopefully, there we go. Is it visible? Everybody can see it? Yeah? All right. Well, this demo, I'm actually taking it directly from my documentation, which I think is quite lovely, don't you? We basically got a quick start here, and this is honestly, if you want a demo of what this can actually do, this is the easiest way to do it. And I'm actually going to copy and paste this right into terminal. Hi. Cloning from GitHub. Yeah. Done. We're in Manage Mac. We need to run a rake setup command. Basically what this is going to do is just install a few Ruby gems, because that's what you need when you're running Puppet, because Puppet is written in Ruby. Yes? Okay. So it's got a little rake task in this module that just basically installs all the dependencies for you. Why isn't Bundler installed on OS 10 by default? I don't know if anybody's a Ruby guy in here, but I just can't figure out why Bundler isn't on OS 10 by default. It's kind of silly. Anyway. But there we go. So we got it installed. And we're basically going to create a very simple configuration. This configuration here, right on the quick start page, tells you exactly how to configure somebody's dock, which I know is amazingly valuable to most people. You want to be able to put somebody's dock on the left side and make it really big and hide it from people. This, luckily for you, I'm just going to take this portion. Okay. This is the only Puppet code you will see today. Okay? This is the only Puppet code. And I'm running it now, and it's not going to do anything, because I haven't put a configuration on the machine yet. I haven't installed, there's no YAML configuration on the machine. I'm simply running Puppet, and you're getting net zero changes to state. Okay? Net zero changes to state. This is the Puppet code, you guys. What's the Puppet experience level like in here? Anybody? I know there's people from Puppet here, right? Come on. Yeah, you, yeah. Okay, so E, include manage Mac. What you're seeing here is I'm running the Puppet agent, well, sort of. I'm running a Puppet apply. Basically, this is normally what you'd use to apply a manifest or what have you. Okay? The E, that little dash E, is expression. Okay? You imagine that typically you'd put your Puppet code in a PP file, Puppet manifest file. Okay? This is bypassing that. This is the only Puppet code you will see today running to do this manage Mac stuff. Actually, it's not true. It's not entirely true. But because I'm going to demo something else, a little more advanced than the dock, but get started with that. So no changes to the machine whatsoever. I'm taking this off the web, and I'm going to run it on the machine. Thank God it's a VM, right? TextMate. Give me TextMate. I'm going to open, oops, lib, var lib, sorry. Higher default.yaml, okay? This file, this is where I have set up. If you run the rake setup command, this is where Hyra stores its stuff out of the box, out of the gate. But this isn't where it has to go, okay? This is on this local machine. And I don't know, can you guys see that? Is it bright enough? Yeah? That helps? Okay. I could put it, what if we did like, where's that? Yeah, I was told I'm not allowed to do that. How about this? What's a? Is that any better? Sure. Yeah? Okay, sorry. It's almost legible, right? You can see that we're configuring the dock. And what this is going to do is actually install an OS 10 profile using Puppet. And you can manage it this way. And you can tweak the values in this YAML. And you can just, it'll reinstall the profile. Let's go ahead and do it. This time when we run Puppet, where did dock gone, right? Yeah, woo, yay. Woo. Where did my dock go? I think it's over here. There it is. Somehow it got on the left-hand side, which is, nobody should ever put their dock on the left. Ridiculous. And if we go into the system preferences, you can see there's a profile installed now. Whoa, pretty neat, huh? The Simon Fraser University thing, that's a default tag. You can change that stuff. But basically what you get out of it is a manage Mac doc settings. And you can see orientation is left, auto hide is true, and tile size is 128. And if I delete this and run it and run Puppet again, it will reinstall the profile. In fact, we could change it if we wanted, put it on the right-hand side, but you get the idea. Oops. Okay. A little more advanced stuff. So those people who have actually used Puppet before know that there is something called the Puppet resource abstraction layer. Okay? And you get to it through this little subcommand called Puppet resource. Okay? And it has some really useful features. For instance, there's no user on this machine called foo right now. So if I query the resource abstraction layer for a user called foo, it's going to come back as absent. Let me actually bump that over. Is that better? Okay. And what that's telling you is that there's no user called foo on this system. So basically, what the Puppet resource abstraction layer command allows you to do is interact with that. And you can simply create a user on demand by doing something like this. Ensure equals present. Now, this takes a little Puppet know-how, but again, there's also documentation on the Managed Mac documentation site that shows you exactly how to do this. Exactly how to do this, okay? And if we query it again this time, we get back user foo. Oh, look, it's all done. The password, everything. It's all right there, okay? This is Puppet code. You can take this, you can copy and paste it into a manifest and Puppet apply it on your machine. But we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to take it and we're going to YAMLize it, okay? And we're basically going back to our defaults.yaml file. And we're going to use a class called Manage Mac Users. And we're going to put it in a parameter called accounts. Thank you very much. Okay. New. I'm just going to paste this in here so you guys can see it. I'm going to highlight this as though it were YAML so that as I'm editing it, you can actually see it become YAML right before your eyes. Okay? There we go. This is all default stuff that you will get from Puppet. Of course, you're going to want a GID. Who cares about a home directory? Password iterations, that stuff's kind of useful. We should probably put a password on our account. We don't need a shell. Everybody gets bash. I don't care who you are. You get bash. Okay? Don't tell me there's got to be some corn shells people out there. All right. Okay? You can see what I'm doing here, guys, is I'm stripping out the hash rockets. And because YAML doesn't care about quotations around your strings unless you actually need them to differentiate it between something that needs it. For instance, if there's spaces sometimes or special characters. I don't need any commas. So you can see already, like, in comparison with actual Puppet code, there's a lot less typing. It's more like deleting. You get to delete stuff, you know what I mean? Like, why would you want to do all that? So I'm going to scroll over, make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay? And then I'm going to do this. I'm going to copy. Oops. And I'm going to paste it into here. Now, you can see there's a data structure happening here, right? Okay? Class, parameters, and then I'm passing in this hash, right? Or dictionary or associative array, whatever you want to call it, okay? That's what I'm passing in. But each one of those keys has a value to it, right? And that is actually going to create a foo user on this machine. And in fact, if you want to create more users, this is all it takes, man. Okay? In fact, let's make this guy an admin, okay? Because he's special. Let's give him a, oh my God, don't do that. Who did that? Okay. There we go. We're going to make this guy named Bar. And he doesn't really need a password for these demos. So I'm just going to do that. And if we do this, we can do this. And we can go Baz. You know? Or Bax. Does it matter? No, it doesn't. If we run Puppet this time, you guys are going to see a little more action this time. Okay? There we go. There we go. Oh, there goes our doc again. Nice. Forgot to take that out. Toolbar Baz. All right. If we go into system preferences again, And we will see our lovely accounts there. There we go. Bam. Puppet does this kind of stuff so well. It's just so well. But, you know. Anyway, there's some other stuff we can do. I'm going to actually just really, because I think I'm running a little long. I'm having fun. You're doing good. Yeah? Doing good? Okay. More Puppet. More Puppet. Okay. Okay. More documentation. Like, you can literally go into the documentation and go, okay, I think I want to configure file vault. Okay. Let's just take that out of there. Bam. I'm going to stop saying bam. I'm sorry. I keep saying bam, and I don't know why. Yeah. Who do I think I am? Okay. What else? How about login window? Everybody likes a good login window message, right? Oops. Scroll down there. This is so much work. Okay, how about, oh, I know, something sweet, like, welcome to MacDevOps. Why? Exclamation point. Okay. Default security, how about that? Let's just do this. Everybody likes to be asked for their password, really, all the time when they touch their Mac. So if we do this, file vault, what else we got? Let's turn on a service. SSHD, that's real easy. We'll turn on a service. There you go. And we're going to run Puppet again. One more time. Huzzah. So you can see it's installing another profile, this time for login window, security, and it worked. How about that? It's lovely. It's so easy. Doc, file vault, right? So when we log out, we're actually going to get file vault. Login window, nice. Welcome to Mac. And security. So you will always be asked for your password no matter what. And if I actually log out of this VM, there we go. Oh, look. There's file vault. And, oh, the login window decided to show up. Awesome. Welcome to MacDevOpsYVR, guys. There we go. This is one machine. This is one machine in the scope of things. I'm pretty sure most of you, I'm not saying all of you, most of you manage more than one machine, right? They probably got, maybe you got 10 machines. So here to talk about how you get from one machine to 1,000 machines, how you scale it up, is my esteemed colleague, Shott. There we go.
Forgot to turn off display mirror. Can't trust guys. Tell them about it. My colleague. All right. So, my presentation, not as exciting as Brian's. I'm not going to do any fancy stuff. I'll show you something, but it's not going to be as long. I'm here basically to ruin Brian's presentation. That is what I'm doing. He's way more prepared than I am. So, as Brian said, YAML. Simpler than Puppet's DSL, sure. But it still comes at a cost. It's friendly, but not friendly. Not that friendly. You would still need the use of something like Git in order to leverage it fully. So even with Hyra, it doesn't provide the level of multi-tenancy that we were looking for. SFU just doesn't have one Mac. We have 1,000. So how does thousands? Yeah, sure. How does one make YAML better? The foreman. What is the foreman? Well, the foreman is a lot of things, and I could honestly dedicate an entire talk to it. At its core, though, it offers cradle-to-grave management of nodes. It has strong ties with Puppet, which is why we decided to use it. It's extensible through its use of the community plugins, some of which we've written. And there's a lot of extras that you get with it. Things such as reporting, auditing, role-based access control, host groups. And now host groups, basically you can think of them, and I'll show you in a minute, of them as a way to modify your hosts as if they were one. So if you modify a host group, but you're really modifying 20 machines, 100 machines, all with the same configuration. This is what allows us to offer Puppet as a service, which is essentially what the Manage Mac project is. Time for my demo. Turn on display. All right. So this is the foreman. This was the foreman. It's technically about a quarter of the foreman, actually. Awesome. See, Brian missed the login window. I do not have my foreman. That's cool. Shh. Let's see if I can remember the password. And they haven't changed it since I left. They actually don't want me to leave. I'm actually moonlighting for them right now. Okay, so this is the foreman dashboard.
Create something. This is fraud, right?
Yeah, it actually is. Yeah, I can do anything I want. I could make your life hell. I mean, sorry. Okay, so this is the foreman. So I'll show you first what I was talking about as for host groups. So this is what host groups look like. These are all the ones for the Manage Mac project at SFU. But we're going to go ahead and create a new one. And we're not going to inherit. You can inherit from our base config, but I will choose not to. Oh, hi. Don't worry about this stuff. This is the most important stuff. So here is where we're choosing the classes to add. So this is, again, not writing Puppet code. So we go into the Manage Mac module, and look, we have all our Puppet classes. We can see them. We don't even have to know them. We don't even have to read the documentation. Yeah, you just really like, I want that, and I want that, and nope, not that one. And yeah, you know what, that's good enough. So look, bam, we have parameters to start modifying. We don't need to copy and paste anything, some of which have a default value. So maybe for this host group, let's change some of them. Maybe we don't want to create a mobile account on login. We'll change that to false. Maybe we want to enable NTP. We'll change that to true. Want to add more time servers? No problem. Done. So now we've created a host group. Let's add a host to it. So you just go into your hosts, pick the host group you want. You can see here that it's included the classes that I've included in my host group. And you can see here that it's properly going to apply all these configuration data to this host. But let's say this host is a snowflake, because Macs are never not unique, right? Everyone's Mac is special. That's what Apple wants you to believe. So maybe it deserves another time server. Maybe we want to turn on create mobile account for this guy. And we're done. And what in the end does this look like? Well, basically all the foreman is it's a configuration store that just allows you to edit YAML in a simple web interface. And when Puppet goes to query the foreman, this is what it will return. And you can see here that it writes the YAML for you. As I said, you do not need to read the documentation to use this, to use Manage Mac. You just you pick the classes you want, change the parameters, and you're done. Simplifying Puppet. I think that is the goal of this presentation. I'll show you some other features of the foreman. So we have statistics. So here, reporting is huge with the foreman. When nodes check in, they upload their facts. So here we can see that 86% of our fleet is using Darwin. All of it is 64-bit. 93% is in the Manage Mac environment. And my most favorite stat, which keeps me up at night, is the average swap usage. Honestly, I can't sleep until I know this number. I need to know what the average swap usage is on my Macs. Other things that are useful, reporting. So we can see here all the Macs that haven't checked in to Puppet. You can see here we have some ones that are honestly missing. Some of my colleagues in Burnaby, I'm going to wonder where this Mac is 4 months. It's an iMac. And another really nice feature is auditing. So we'll take a look at what Jason has been doing. 22 days ago, Jason updated this host. 23 days ago, he created this host. Oh, and about a month ago, he changed this value in a host group. What did he do? He changed it from this to this. So it gives you a lot of insight into your configuration management. And that is the foreman. I mean, that, in a nutshell. If you have more questions, feel free to answer at the end, but I'll go back to my slides. Well, that looks simple. But let me paint something in, let me paint in broad strokes for a second. Making anything simple is a complex task, and simplifying configuration data for Puppet is no small task. Here are just some of the problems we faced. The foreman lacks the ability to search for a node but anything but its host name. Why is that a problem? Host names are mutable. They change. They change depending on what network they're on. Sometimes people fat finger them when entering in DNS. It's not right. Hira also natively lacks a backend to look up values via an API. So basically that means Hira queries the foreman for that foreman's YAML. But unfortunately, it doesn't come with that capability out of the box. Also, Hira doesn't merge anything unless it's a YAML file. So even though it returns YAML, that is still not a YAML file. That is just YAML you're getting in a web response. So how did we solve these problems? Well, we solved the Hira portion with a Hira backend called FancyAss, aptly named. FancyAss is a modular Hira backend that consumes API responses. Each module is an application, each module, aka application, the foreman, for example, is considered a trouser for FancyAss to wear. I had fun naming this. Actually, it was Brian's idea. I just sort of, I ran with it. Yeah. No, yeah. What sets FancyAss apart from other similar backends is that I'm having a hard time continuing. It's designed to be extensible. It can query any API endpoint only once during a node's run, which is huge. And it caches the configuration data to disk, which is what allows us to solve the third problem, which was Hira merging. The second problem was solved with a foreman plugin called foreman param lookup. And basically all this does is it extends the foreman API. And basically it exposes a REST point, which allows you to search for a node's YAML configuration by host name, cert name, or MAC address. The latter two things aren't likely going to change. MAC addresses don't usually change, and cert names certainly not unless you're redeploying every day. So this is a typical, this is the anatomy of a Puppet node run. So the client goes to FancyAss, asks for a manifest. FancyAss goes to the foreman to get one value, the key that it's currently looking up. The foreman, however, is smart. It can return everything all at once. It's very inefficient to ask for a REST API, one value at a time, and when it can return one thing. So that's one problem with Hira that we solved with FancyAss. So it returns everything. FancyAss then caches that request. And what it does then, for each subsequent get value, it basically just refers to its cache until the node is done. Until basically the lookups are done. What it then does is it creates a YAML file out of that and merges it with the default YAML file that you saw Brian editing earlier. So basically what that allows you to do is it allows you to have a base set of configuration data. Your host groups then have its own configuration data, and then your hosts can have even further configuration data. So you can really have quite a hierarchy of configuration data. What then FancyAss then does is returns a manifest or rather Puppet does, returns it back to the node.
Is there a hierarchy in overrides of that? So can you override at any level?
Yes. Yeah. And that's again, the foreman really, actually that's what the foreman does best. Hiera is good at doing that, but Hiera can only base hierarchy on factor facts. And factor facts don't properly group machines. Like you can't really group a machine based on a client cert or a DNS name, not in most environments anyways. So, back to Brian, the better speaker. What now?
Thanks, Ron. Riley hit on the main point of this, and what this really means is bringing Puppet to the people. Puppet as a service, right? Being able to simplify our onboarding process for new admins, right? Being able to document it better. Getting less phone calls. Being able to actually concentrate on things you want to get done throughout the day, right? More free time. And honestly, what it's given, I think, to our admins here is a greater sense of ownership of their machines. So that rather than them having to, look at the Puppet Master as this some kind of like, deity, right? They can actually interact with it on a level that, well, around here was unprecedented, right? Giving them more control over their machines. And, well, that's our talk. So hope you guys got something out of it. I'm Dayglow Jesus at Twitter. He's Riley Shott. And we've got some links up here, but you're taking pictures. Any questions, I guess? None? Nothing? Yeah.
I mean, maybe a big one and hopefully not contentious, like why Puppet versus...
Well, that is a good question. Like I said, we had a large standing infrastructure already we could lean on, and we bought Puppet Enterprise in our IT infrastructure team, right? So these are things that we may be rolling out. We might just decide to go 180 and Chef or something, because that's what you do these days. You have to remain, agile in doing this stuff, or else you get left behind. So, Puppet, yeah, we spent a lot of time, and energy in Puppet, but it may not be the solution at the end of the day or the end of the year or whatever. So, any other questions? No? Sure. Mr. Neal.
The manufactured modules that you've written that now do very specific configuration tasks.
Yep.
So I'm curious about the managed Mac modules. Oh, lots of M's there. That do very specific configuration tasks. Have you documented, this works on this OS, not this OS? For example, some of the SSH configuration.
Yeah.
That the exact things you needed to do may have changed from one OS release to another. Same thing with screen sharing and some of that sort of thing. And when I see this, I go, wow, somebody has done this work. I don't have to think about it too hard. I can just do it. But I know in the back of my head that I think there are gotchas, and now I got to go back and test it on all of these OSs to make sure that your use case was similar to mine. Because maybe you never tested it on 10.7 because you never deployed on 10.7. For example.
Well, okay, I can guarantee that it was written for 10.9 and it was tested on 10.10. But there are bugs. I'm not going to tell you it's bug free. Okay? There's things that we're discovering all the time. But honestly, for the people that are out there using it, I'm not sure, maybe one or two, but they haven't reported anything extraordinary. There's nothing really broken. There is some functionality that is missing, I would say. File vault, for instance. There's some new file vault stuff in Yosemite that is not covered in the module. And I have it in the GitHub page. It's on the roadmap, so to speak. Something more recently, too, and I can't recall what it was. It had something to do with a profile. But honestly, when we're talking about lower level kind of resources, when we talk about Puppet, we're talking about user, service, file, what have you, right? Those are actually covered mostly by Puppet. That's Puppet code. So if you trust Puppet to manage that stuff, you should be able to trust the module. Because most of the time, these classes are wrapping what Puppet's doing. It's basically just putting a friendly face on it. And moreover, the classes themselves, the way you saw me using this stuff, just feeding it YAML, you can take the custom types, and you can take the custom classes And you can arrange them in any configuration you want. In fact, we have a wrapper module called MMV3, which is Managed Mac version 3, which is simply our branding for what we're doing with this Puppet right now. And we have a module that does extra stuff. It uses these classes in a different way, right? So yeah. So it's more modular than it might appear at first, Anything else? Okay. Well, thanks, guys. Oh. Yeah. Up there. Foreman question.
Bad idea. It's a bad idea. So the foreman sits in the same, not in the same stack on your diagram as the puppet master, correct?
No, they are different servers.
So the fancy backend, we'll refer to it, is with the puppet master doing API or facilitating API calls to the foreman?
Yeah. So Hyra is built-in Puppet 3. So it lives on the Puppet master, and the fancy backend is basically just on the Puppet master. And when Puppet is run on a client, when the master is running or compiling a catalog for that client, it basically uses Hyra, and then it uses what backends it's told to use. And in this case, we told it to use that to query the foreman.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And that is doing YAML magic primarily.
Basically, it's just hitting a REST endpoint and saying, give me the YAML for this node. I'm going to cache it so I can merge it with the other YAML that I have for it. And that's really all it's doing, actually.
Cool. My other question was just like, I'm not familiar with terminology in Foreman. OHI is something...
Oh, sorry. Yeah, OHI is just like, oh, hi there. I don't know. It's just something that
completely arbitrary.
It's like him writing foo bar. I type OHI. But it also happens to be a chef thing, too. So
Right.
Yeah.
I was wondering, like...
No,
like
yeah,
there's
I'm
conflation
actually
going
using,
on.
yeah, I'm using Chef now, so that's kind of ingrained in my mind right now. So.
On the brain.
But Puppet is still great. Still use it.
Okay. Thank you, kindly.
You're welcome. Is there any more questions?
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.